And after a long winter break, we returned 2 weeks ago to the amazing Donington Park National Circuit to start TCUK for 2023. In the end, it was Matt Richards and his own team, Richards & Co Racing, who came out on top overall, winning 2 of the 3 races that we had. And just 2 weeks later, we come to the very tight and twisty Brands Indy circuit. It's a fan favourite for sure. Loads of tricky corners around here, and certainly one that's going to provide a lot of great overtaking opportunities and something that might get a little bit chaotic here and there as well. Today it is myself, Cameron Roger, Alex Goldschmidt as well, alongside me, Mike Yao on the cameras behind the scenes as well. And Alex, we certainly had a great start to the season just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we also had Dan Hurlock taking race 2 at Donington Park National. There was a lot of ring rust, I think, being exercised last time out 2 weeks ago at Donington Park. But, we weren't deprived of weren't deprived at all of great racing, as TCUK has provided over the past 3 seasons, and in season 4, powered now by VCO. So a big thank you to Florian Hasper and the team for coming on board for this. We've got a great championship in prospect, and it's only going to flourish. But there's also been a few changes since Donington Park, and most notably with the recent RF2 upload that the Cupra Leon, run by Team Hard and the British Touring Car Championship, now comes available, and that means we've got one of the teams, Quartermaster Motorsports, with Adam Locke and Max Spooner. They are switching from the Focus to the Cupra Leon, and thereby forego their points that they scored a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the drivers combat this 1.2 mile circuit. It has shown great prowess, and there you see the spotters guide, where we have had a little bit of a change, because Phil Garside has also joined Sam Dowman for Vapor Shield Racing, so identical Honda Civic Type R liveries that we're going to now have to try and differentiate between. As long as we can see the numbers on the windshields, we'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely nice to see a couple of changes already after just the first round of the season. Of course, 10 rounds working our way through to the end of August, I believe it is. So definitely a lot of racing still to come. And with 3 races every evening, it's certainly a little bit of unknown. And just getting pole position is always, a little bit unknown as well. We saw John Munro getting that last time out, but he only ended up getting 1 podium, and that wasn't even in the race where he got pole. So definitely things can happen, and we saw, unfortunately, quite a big crash in turn 1 as well. But here is your championship standings, or team standings, I should say. Richards & Co leading the way by 6 points from Rocket Simsport. So we've got the BMW versus the Toyota there at the top, with RSR in behind in the Infinity in 3rd place as well. Team Butchie, their independent team, doing pretty well, being a solo driver, getting up into 4th. Then DMA Racing rounding out your top 5. But Alex, certainly some of those teams a little bit lower down, they still have some opportunities to get higher up, such as the nature of having 3 races per event.
Yeah, Kings Racing, it was a difficult last time out for Jack Nichols and Luke Mitchell. Scott Mitchell-Malm was not in attendance last time out, and again looks to be not with us this evening. So Kings Racing and the Infinity Q50s, they have a little bit of ground to cover. They've got a bit of ground to make up, and hopefully this circuit that you and I both know provides a lot of action. But with the rear-wheel drives, they're going to get the start off the line. I mean, the start of this particular circuit was quite unusual in the fact that it's got a very adverse right-hand down camber. So it's all about traction off the line, and if you can get the BMW or the Infinity hooked up, then you're going to be like a rocket ship going off the line and heading into Paddock Hill Bend. But that's one of the most fearsome corners that we have at this circuit, and that's going to be the one that's going to really sort the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah, it's a weird circuit, this Brands Indy second race of the season, as you see here, because there's only really about 4 corners on the track, which is why we're going to see some very close batting. But as ever, the longest straight down the front straight isn't really straight either. So definitely it's going to be a tricky one today. 24 laps of action and just shy of 2 kilometers a lap. So it's definitely going to be a lot of action, and as ever with the way that we have the new hybrid system and the new push to pass as well, they get 15 seconds a lap, but there's a lot more laps here as well. So effectively there's a lot more push to pass to be used. So definitely look out for some strategic factors with that as well.
Yeah, predominantly coming down the Brabham Straight, and then obviously coming down from Druids into Graham Hill Bend, and then through into Surtees and McLaren. Those are going to be the 2 opportunistic chances that you can use the push to pass system. Of course, the the thing is now that with the championship as it is, the ballast has been increased for season number 4, with the race winners or the championship leaders going to respective rounds having a maximum of 75 kilos. And we saw really good pace from Matt Richards despite having 75 kilos in race number 2. I mean, he had a bit of damage limitation. I mean, Chris Butcher, you got to watch anyway, because he got 2 second places in races 1 and 3. Ross McGregor picks up a podium. He finished second, and that was in race 2. So Rocket Sim Sport is a known entity. Richards & Co. with Matt Richards and Callum Cripps really are going to be showing a tour de force. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Callum Wilson brings to the party, because we've seen him in previous seasons. He's had some flashes of brilliance, but hopefully he can really muster that number 444 BMW, because he only, he didn't have the best run, let's be honest, at Donington Park. He had a DNF, 0 points in race 2 and scored 6 points in race 3. So he's probably got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder and a point to prove.
And of course, talking of the ballast, because we now have the championship standings, ballast is in play for the qualifying and the first race based off the championship standings. So obviously Matt Richards leading the way after that first round. He was in the qualifying in the background, he was 0.3 off that pole position, but of course with the massive ballast that comes with leading the way. So I think it does look like the ballast is going to be a pretty major factor in terms of how the qualifying is going to look and how therefore race 1 looks, and then of course race 2 carries on from race 1 and etc. So as the ballast goes on, I definitely think that's going to be quite a big factor. Looking how close the field is as well, really just a second pretty much covering the majority of the field, and even just 0.3 covering really the top 10. So yeah, just it's going to be very close racing, and these little factors, and also of course where you choose to use the option tyres, you have to use it in one of the 3 races. Where you put that strategy into it, I think is definitely going to be a big factor too.
Yeah, it's I mean, the big thing is that Rocket Simsport are down a man tonight. No Ross McGregor. We've also got Carl Benton, who showed some good pace at Donington Park. He's not due to attend. We did have Max Spooner from Quartermaster Motorsport as an unknown, but I did WhatsApp him before the broadcast and say, "Are you racing tonight?" Yes, probably participating rather than racing like I was at last time out. And there we see the 87. That's Dan Herlock in the one of 2 RSR Infinity Q50s, the other one being Ryan Elliott, and he was definitely put through the ringer last time out at Donington Park. Incident after incident for the 66, and he really, we've seen him as a race winner in this championship. So can he make some headway this time around?
Yeah, Elliott's an interesting one. He's always a fast driver. We always see him up towards the front, but as you say, the event last time out, those 3 races just seem to prove how his racing goes sometimes. He always seems to end up in a couple of incidents, some his fault, some maybe not, but I'm pretty sure all 3 races he had a few issues. And someone else also to look out for is who we just saw there with Butcher as well. He's always up towards the front and generally will have some good results, but of course being an independent driver maybe isn't quite as prepared when you have all the teammates. And here is Max Spooner with that Quartermaster team. Of course, changing to the Cupra, which is a nice addition. It's definitely a car that quite a few drivers like. It's a pretty good looking car, and also good, Alex, that we can get pretty much the spread of almost all of the BTCC cars that we have available in our Factor 2 on the grid.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Cupra is a bit more compact in terms of its wheelbase. And I do stand corrected. Scott Mitchell-Malm is actually racing tonight. He's ahead of Max Spooner going into McLaren and then to Clark Curve. But yeah, it's great to see that car on the grid. It's been a welcome part of the British Touring Car Championship since Team Hard introduced it. I'm sure that if there is a touring car championship that is using our Factor 2 and it is a Team Hard team, you know which car they're going to choose for anyway. So
yeah, absolutely, and it's great to see that that's been added. Of course, as you mentioned though, to do that they did have to give up any points that they got previously. Fortunately for them, the car got released after only the first round of the season, so it wasn't too many points to drop out. They might still have a chance to get a decent place, but they are now back starting from 0 today from this round. But of course, there's still, including this, 9 rounds left, so still plenty of time. As always, he's going to be sliding the rear end, planting the front, the throttle there to get the front back round. And here's one of the teams, I think it's the only team in the Toyota, the Rocket Sim Sports, Tobias Blumschein. Had a pretty good race, I think, in the third race last time out at Donington, and definitely a strong team with him and John Munro on the grid today.
Well, Munro's been a known quantity. I think one of the terminologies I use for John Munro is that whenever I see him racing out on circuit, and I'm going to use David Christie's analogy on this one, that I am absolutely disgusted on how ridiculously quick he can be as Tobias Blumschein decides to roll the car going up the hill in towards Druids. That's not one thing you want to do going out of Paddock Hill Bend. The minute you hit the kitty litter on the left hand side, even by 2 wheels, that just goes to show how it happens. And we mentioned Callum Wilson, and he's got pole for race 1 tonight. Well done.
Yeah, he certainly does, and that is going to put him in a great position, because he is on, I believe, 0 ballast as well, because he was so far down in the order after the issues that he had in Donington. So he's going to be very fast in this first race, and as ever, you need to try and make some points up when you can. Just trying to see what tyres he's got. Yeah, he's got the options as well for this race, so he's going to be looking very fast in this first race. 24 laps though around here, so there's definitely a lot that can happen, but it's going to be a very confidence-inspiring race for him. If he can get out the front there, if he can hold on to it, he's going to be looking very good as the drivers come to the grid. And then we'll see basically where all the other drivers have come out. There's a pretty even stack of the options and primes over the course of the 3 races. I believe we're going to have 13 in this first race, then 8 and 8 for race 2 and 3. So as ever, the choice of when you use your tyres can be quite important.
Yeah, especially if you're wanting to make up points early in a round, but then sometimes for consistency, especially if you know that you're going to be in a race where you got big ballast on the car, you've got less opportunity to use the hybrid assist, the push to pass, through 2 particular main talking points that I said earlier on, the Rotherham Straight and Cooper. It's about how diligent you can be with that as well over the course of the race duration. And yeah, the minute they start using all that push to pass, if you run out of it, then you're going to come a cropper, because there could be people behind you with less ballast or no ballast at all, literally firing it up the inside. I mean, how many overtakes have we seen over the years up from Paddock Hill Bend through into Druids, and someone just fires it up the inside because they've got complete belief in the car and they've got the speed to facilitate that. And that's what's going to be quite crucial. You've got to pick your spots here at Brands Hatch. I mean, coming down from Druids into Graham Hill Bend, I've seen it on other competitions where people have come 3 wide and the person on the outside is literally flying into the barriers, exit stage left. But then it's also about track limits, because this is a circuit that is unforgiving. It's very, very narrow, and the barriers aren't too far away, just off of the grassy verges at some point of the circuit, especially going through from Graham Hill Bend down the Cooper Straight. That's going to be a possible contact point where these drivers will want to not get into any kind of trouble.
Yeah, and into that chicane sort of sequence at Surtees as well. That's always a place where you see a driver or two dive their nose down the inside, and yeah, such a risky part of the track. It's so narrow. As you're saying, the walls are so close. Maybe not that specific corner because they've got all this grass runoff here, but it's definitely a place where you can come a cropper very easily. And I think the bit that you were mentioning there from Paddock Hill Bend, that run then back up the hill in towards Druids. As you say, if you just get your left-hand wheels on that bit of gravel, really slows you down. And I think we're going to see a lot of dives into Druids, as ever, just because of the nature of the corner. But also in general, with how close it was in the qualifying session, there was literally hundredths of a second between people. You're going to have to start being a little bit more aggressive to make those moves, because I definitely think the race pace is going to be close between the drivers, and therefore sometimes you have to get a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah. And it is also that risk versus reward factor as well. If you know that you can risk it, you get the reward, you feel $1 million. when you risk it and the reward doesn't pay off, and your car and somebody else's car might end up in a little bit of a contretemps. It's one of those situations where it's part and parcel of touring cars, and we've seen that over the years here at VMO TCUK, and I don't expect anything different tonight. I mean, 24 laps, okay, when you consider it, that's probably what, over 35-40 miles worth of racing per race here tonight. But that is going to go by like nobody's business. Before you know it, you'll be on lap 5, and then you'll see the checkered, because you'll be concentrating so significantly. The focus on these drivers is going to be absolutely ridiculous. And plus also, sim racing is mentally and physically demanding. So this is going to be one of the toughest challenges on the calendar, guaranteed. It's just the fact that they've just got to push and just do what they can.
Yeah, you're right. Even though the laps, or there's a lot of laps, because they're short, they go by very quickly. And as you mentioned, there's pretty much only about 4 kind of corners that you have to really think about on this track. So therefore, when you start thinking about it corner by corner, all of a sudden you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you get the level of racing, the chaos of racing that we see sometimes is definitely going to be, a tricky one for some of these drivers. And as ever, you got to keep a lid on it as well. If people start sending it down the inside of you a little bit too aggressively, of course you got, maybe give it back a little bit, but you've always got to keep that level head and not get too involved. Although, to be honest, what we did see in a couple of races, the 2 races that Richards won, he sort of got to the front and then started to pull away, and then in the second race when Herlock won a couple of weeks ago at Donington, he got into the lead, but then there was so much carnage behind that their battling just let Herlock get away into a massive lead as well.
Yeah, Brands Hatch is a very different circuit, because if you get a lead, you're going to be hard pushed to keep it. It's a difficult circuit to lead out here, Cam. And, whoever gets to the front of the grid, whoever gets to the front of the field, after the lights go out, whether it's a BMW, whether it's an Infiniti, the rear-wheel drive cars have been known to get the edge off of the line. But sometimes we have seen it in seasons past where front-wheel drive has actually done the better job, just hooked it up that little bit better. And there's going to be a lot of wheel spin off of the line coming at, on the first race, because everyone have done practice, qualifying, and then the session resets, and then it just puts everyone on the same sort of carte blanche, doesn't it?
Yeah, certainly does. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out over the course of the season with, of course, the front and rear-wheel drive cars. The push-to-pass or the hybrid system doesn't get activated to, I think it's like 120 kilometers an hour, something like that as well. So they can't use it straight away. So it's all going to be about the drivers getting off the line. But as ever here, it's quite a short run, actually, towards that first braking zone, especially if you're on the front couple of rows. So the race sort of craft that you have to do, trying to get a different line maybe down the hill, because as ever, if you go wide, you can get a tighter run, especially on the front wheel drive cars, really getting a nice exit up the hill. That's always going to be a bit of a factor. But then you will see 2-3 cars wide going into Druids, and it's not the widest part of the track, so there's definitely some opportunities for some cars running into each other, and as ever, we do like to see some aggressive driving, but hopefully everyone just stays calm and gets a little bit tight. And so we're just having a couple of issues here getting to the grid. So while the race control sort that out, we'll just go to a quick intermission, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Welcome back to the VMO TCUK for 2023. Round 2 here at Brands Indy, but unfortunately we're having a few technical issues in the background regarding the race getting started. So unfortunately the event today is not going to be able to happen, which is a big shame because of course we were looking forward to see what was happening. But as ever, we will have to look out for social media and stuff to see what is going to happen with this round in the future. But yeah, for myself and Alex Goldschmidt, that is going to be it from here at Brands Indy. So we thank you for tuning in, and yeah, I said check out for when this race will be rescheduled. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.